To begin with, I have a question. If someone told you to throw a paper cup into a recyclable bin, would you? You probably would. But if someone told you to exterminate 6 million Jews on World War II, you probably would not. Or would you? Hello viewers, welcome to my lair. Actually, this is Darshan's house. Come here, Darshan. My name is Girvan, and this is Darshan. We're going to talk about Milgram's experiment on obedience. Before talking about Milgram's experiment and the massive effect it takes on the world of social psychology, we should understand the context behind why did he do such an experiment. Going back to World War II, the Nazis did immoral deeds that could not be comprehended by the mass public. When many Nazi officers, including the famous Adolf Eichmann, were tried for war crimes around 1960s, Eichmann's defense was that all they did were merely blind obedience toward his superior. Eichmann lost in the court and was tried for execution for his crime, although his statement was later proven true. Milgram were curious and raises the specific question, are Germans different? But later on he realized that obedience does not affect only Germans, but all individuals were surprisingly obedient when it came to authority. So, the question that got him thinking is, what might the average people be capable of doing when under order? So he did his experiment under Yale University on 1961. So, what did he do in his experiment? For his preparation, his initial experiment uses 40 paid male volunteers recruited from the newspaper, one phony shock generator. What's on the shock generator? There are 30 switches on the generator that supposedly give shocks from 15 volts up to 450 volts, and labeled from slight shock to severe shock until simply XXX. So what did he do to the volunteers or the participants? He paired them with someone who is apparently another participant, but actually they were Confederate. Confederate? What is a Confederate? Confederate is only a fancy word for his colleague that acts as a participant for the sake of the experiment. So, you can be my Confederate, Darshan. Nice. Okay. Carry on. He made them draw straws to decide who will be the learner and who will be the teacher. But the volunteer did not realize that the straw drawing is actually rigged, and there's only the word teacher written in all of them. So basically, whichever you take, it will always be teacher. So all of the participants will be the teacher, and Milgram's buddy or the Confederate will be the student. The learner will be put in a room strapped with electrodes, which is wires, with glues. And the teachers, which were the people being studied on, will be put in another room with a researcher, which were actually a paid actor. The teacher were told to operate the shock generator, and they had no idea at all that they were fake. So the experiment went on. The learner was asked to memorize a list of word pairs, and the participant or the teacher was told that he'd be testing the learner's recall of those words and should administer an electric shock for every mistake, increasing the shock level a little bit each time. The learner will make mistakes on purpose, and the participant hesitated to shock the learner, perhaps by the recorded learner's yell of pain. Researcher will make order to make sure he continues. The orders were divided into 4. The first were simply, please continue. If the participant did not comply, the researcher will issue other order until he did. He would say, the experiment requires you to continue. And then, it's essential for you to continue. And finally, if the participant is being stubborn and being a problem child in general, the researcher will say, you have no choice but to continue. As a result, everyone was shocked by the first round of experiment. About 2/3 of participants delivered the maximum 450 volt shock, the one which were labeled XXX. And all the volunteers continued to administer until 300 felt shock before they gave up and can't continue the experiment. He repeatedly do variations of the experiment and found that, in conclusion, obedience was highest when the person giving the orders was nearby and was perceived as an authority or figure, especially if they were from a prestigious institution, such as Yale, where he was experimenting. There are many impacts of the experiment. The positive one is it's a groundbreaking and brave experiment, especially at that time. And it's considered new in that time and created lots of opportunity to other experiments leading to obedience. The negative side is the Milgram shock experiment raised questions about the research ethics of scientific experimentation because the extreme stress that the participant must go through. In Milgram's defense, 84% of former participants surveyed later said they were glad or very glad to have participated, and 15% chose neutral responses out of 92% of all former participants responding. And many later, the participants wrote letters to thank Milgram.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.
Have a good time.
That's it.
That's it. Want some Doritos? Oh wait, you can.
Are you sure about that?